Chapter 29. Percy. Percy was relieved when the demon grandmothers closed in for the killer, I saw him. Sure, he was terrified. He didn't like the odds of 3 against several dozen, but at least he understood fighting. Wandering through the darkness, waiting to be attacked. That had been driving him crazy. Besides, he and Annabeth had fought together many times, and now they had a Titan on their side. Back off! Percy jabbed Riptide at the nearest shriveled hag, but she only sneered. "We are the Eye," said the weird voice over, like the entire forest was speaking. "You cannot destroy us." Annabeth pressed her against his shoulders. "Don't touch them," she warned. "They're the spirits of curses." Bob doesn't like curses. Bob decided. The skeleton kicked him. Small Bob disappeared inside his coveralls. Smart cat. The Titan swept his broom in a wide arm, forcing the spirits back, but they came in again like the tide. "We served bitter and undefeated," said the Army. We served the slain who prayed for vengeance with their final breath. We have many curses to share with you." The fire water in Percy's stomach started crawling up his throat. He wished the Taurus had been better beverage options, or maybe a tree that dispensed an antacid fruit. "I appreciate the offer," he said, "but Mum told me not to accept curses from strangers." The nearest demon lunged. Her claws extended like bony switchblades. Percy cut her in two, but as soon as she vaporized, the sides of her chest flared with flame. He stumbled like a lamp in his hand to his rib cage. His fingers came away wet and red. "Percy, you're bleeding!" Annabeth cried, which was kind of obvious to him at that point. Oh, God, on both sides. It was true. The left and right hems of his tattered shirt were sticky with blood, as if a javelin had run through him or an arrow. Queasiness almost knocked him over. Vengeance, a curse from the slain. He flashed back to an encounter in Texas 2 years ago, a fight with a monstrous ranger who could only kill in each of his 3 bodies were cut through singularity. "Guryon, this is how I killed him." The spirits bared their fangs. More air leaped from the sides. More air leaped from the black trees. I meant more air leaped from the black trees, flapping their leathery wings. "Yes," they agreed. "Feel the pain inflicted upon Guryon. So many curses have been levelled at you, Percy Jackson. Which will you die from? Choose, or we will rip you apart." Somehow he stayed on his feet. The blood stopped spreading, but he felt like he had hot metal curtain rock and a hot metal curtain rod sticking through his ribs. His forearm was heavy and weak. "I don't understand," he muttered. Bob's voice seemed to echo from the end of a long tunnel. "If you kill one, it gives you a curse." "But if we don't kill them," Annabeth said. "They'll kill us anyway," Percy guessed. "Choose," the air cried. "Will you be crushed like Campaign, or disintegrate like the young Telkin you slaughtered under Mount St. Helens?" You have spread so much death and suffering, Percy Jackson. Let us repay you. The winged hags pressed in, their breath sour, their eyes burning with hatred. They looked like furries, but Percy decided these things were even worse. At least the 3 furries were under the control of Hades. These things were wild and they just kept multiplying. If they really embodied the dying curses of every enemy Percy had destroyed, then Percy was in serious trouble. He faced a lot of enemies. One of the demons lunged at Annabeth. Instantly, he dodged. He brought her rock down on the old lady's head and broke her into dust. It wasn't like Annabeth had a choice. Percy would have done the same thing, but instantly Annabeth dropped her rock and cried in alarm. Ah! I can't see! He touched her face, looking around wildly. Her eyes were pure white. Percy ran to her side as the array crackled. Polyphemus cursed you when you tricked him with your invisibility in the sea of monsters. You called yourself nobody. He could not see you. Now you'll not see your attackers. I've got you, Percy promised. He put his arm around Annabeth, but as the area advanced, he didn't know how he could protect either of them. A dozen demons leaped from every direction, but Bob yelled, "Swipe!" His broom whooshed over Percy's head. The entire array of fences lined toppled backwards like bowling pins. More surged forward, but Bob whacked one over the head and spared another, blasting them to dust. The others backed away. Percy held his breath, waiting for the Titan's friend to be laid low with some terrible curse. But Bob seemed fine, a massive silvery bodyguard, keeping death at bay with the world's most terrifying cleaning implement. Bob, you okay? Percy asked. No curses? No curses for Bob, Bob agreed. The array snarled and circled, eyeing the broom. The Titan is already cursed. Why should we torture him further? You, Percy Jackson. You, Percy Jackson, have already destroyed his memory. Bob's spear dipped. Bob, don't listen to them, Annabeth said. They're evil. Time slowed. Percy wondered if the spirit of Cronus was somewhere nearby, swirling in the darkness, enjoying this in moments so much that he wanted it to last forever. Percy felt exactly like he had 12 years old, battling Ares on the beach in Los Angeles. When the shadow of the Titan Lord had first passed him, Bob turned. His wild white hair looked like it would explode. Hello. My memory. It was you. Cast him, Titan, the array urged. Their red eyes gleaming. Add to our numbers. Percy's heart pressed against his spine. Bob, it's a long story. I didn't want you to be my enemy. I tried to make you a friend by stealing your life, the array said. Leaving you in the palace of Hades to scrub the floors. Annabeth gripped Percy's hand. Which way? She whispered. If we have to run. He understood if Bob wouldn't protect them, their only chance was to run. But that wasn't any chance at all. Bob, listen, he tried again. The array want you to get angry. They spawn from bitter thoughts. Don't give them what they want. We are your friends. Even as he said it, Percy felt like a liar. He'd left Bob in the underworld and hadn't given him a thought since. What made them friends? The fact that Percy needed him now. Percy always hated it when the gods used him for their errands. Now Percy was treating Bob the same way. You see his face, the airy growled. The boy can't even convince himself. Did he visit you after he stole your memory? No, Bob murmured. His lower lip quivered. The other one did. Percy's thoughts moved sluggishly. The other one? Nico, Bob shouted at him. He was full of hurt. Nico visited, told me about Percy. Said Percy was good, said he was a friend. That is why Bob helped. But Percy's voice disintegrated like someone had hit him with a celestial bronze blade. He never felt so low and dishonourable, so unworthy of having a friend. The area attacked him, this time Bob did not stop them. Chapter 30. Percy. Left. Percy dragged Annabeth, slicing through the alley to clear a path. He probably brought down a dozen curses on himself, but he didn't feel them right away. So he kept running. The pain in his chest flared with every step. He weaved between the trees, leading Annabeth at a full sprint despite her blindness. Percy realized how much he trusted him to get her out of this. He couldn't let her down. Yet, how could he save her? And if she was permanently blind, no. He suppressed a surge of panic. He would figure out how to cure her later. First they had to escape! Leathery wings beat the air above them, angry hissing, and the scuttling of clawed feet told him the demons were at their backs. As the ram passed one of the black trees, he slashed his sword across the trunk. He heard a topple, followed by satisfying crunch of several dozen arrows as they were smashed flat. If a tree falls in the forest and crushes a demon, does the tree get cursed? Percy slashed down another trunk, then another. It brought them a few seconds, but not enough. Suddenly, the darkness in front of them became thicker. Percy realized what it meant just in time. He grabbed Annabeth right before they both charged off the side of the cliff. What? She cried. What is it? Cliff, he gasped. Big cliff. Which way then? Percy couldn't see how far the cliff dropped. It could be 10 feet or 1,000. There was no telling what was at the bottom. They could jump and hope for the best, but he doubted the best ever happened in Tartarus. So 2 options, right or left. Following the edge, it was about to choose randomly when a winged demon descended in front of him, hovering over the void on her back wings, just out of sword reach. Did you have a nice walk? Asked a collective voice echoing all around them. Percy turned. Their array poured out of the woods, making a crescent around them. One grabbed Annabeth's arm. Annabeth wailed enraged. Judah flipped the monster and dropping on its neck, putting her whole body weight into an elbow strike that would have made any pro wrestler proud. The demon dissolved, but when Annabeth got to her feet, she looked stunned and afraid as well as blind. Percy, she called, panic creeping in her voice. I'm right here. Joe put his hand on her shoulder, but she wasn't standing where he thought. He tried again, only to find she was 7 feet further away. It was like trying to grab something in a tank of water, with the light shifting the image away. Percy, Annabeth's voice crackled. Why did you leave me? I didn't. He turned on the arrow, his arms shaking with anger. What did you do to her? We did nothing, the demon said. Your beloved has unleashed a special curse. A bitter thought from someone you abandoned. You punished an innocent soul by leaving her in solitude. Now a most hateful wish has come to pass. Annabeth feels her despair. She too will perish, alone and abandoned. Percy! Annabeth spread her arms trying to find him. They are backed up, letting her stumble blindly through their ranks. Who did I abandon? Percy demanded. I never! Suddenly his soul felt like it had dropped off the cliff. The words rang in his head. An innocent soul, alone and abandoned. He remembered an island, a cave lit with soft glowing crystals. A dinner table on the beach tended by an invisible air spirit. She wouldn't, he mumbled. She'd never curse me. The eyes of the demons blurred together like their voices. Percy's sides throbbed. The pain in his chest was worse, as if someone was slowly twisting a dagger. Annabeth wandered among the demons, desperately calling his name. Percy longed to run to her, but he knew the arrow wouldn't allow it. The only reason they hadn't killed her yet was that they were enjoying her misery. Percy clenched his jaw. He didn't care how many curses he suffered. He had to keep those leathery old hags focused on him and protect Annabeth as long as he could. He yelled in fury and attacked them all. Chapter 31. Percy. For an exciting minute, Percy felt like he was winning. Riptide cut through the air as though they were made of powder sugar. One panicked and ran face first into a tree. Another screeched and tried to fly away when Percy sliced off her wings and sent her spiraling into the chasm. Each time a demon disintegrated, Percy felt a heavier sense of dread and another curse settled on him. Some were harsh and painful, a stabbing in the gut, a burning sensation like he was being blasted by a blowtorch. Some were subtle, a chill in the blood, an uncontrollable tick in his right eye. Seriously, who curses you with their dying breath and says, "I hope you're right, witches"? Percy knew he killed a lot of monsters, but he'd never really thought about it from the monsters' point of view. Now all their pain and anger, bitterness poured over him, sapping his strength. The air raid just kept coming. For every one he cut down, 6 more seemed to appear. His sword arm grew tired. His body ached, and his vision blurred. He tried to make his way towards Annabeth, but she was just out of reach, calling his name as she wandered amongst the demons. As Percy blundered towards her, a demon pounced and sank its teeth into his thigh. Percy roared. He sliced the demon to dust, but immediately he fell to his knees. His mouth burned worse than when he had swallowed the firewater of the Phlegethon. He doubted over, shuddering and retching as a dozen fiery snakes seemed to work their way down his oesophagus. "You have chosen," said the voice of the air, "the curse of Venus and an excellent painful death." Percy tried to speak. His tongue felt like it. His tongue felt like it was being microwaved. He remembered the old blind king who had challenged him to a contest, and the loser had drunk a deadly vial of Gorgon's blood. Percy didn't remember the old blind man muttering a final curse as Venus had dissolved and returned to the underworld. He probably hadn't wished Percy a long, unhappy life. After Percy's victory over them, Gale had warned him, "Do not press your luck. When the death comes, I promise it'll be much more painful than Gorgon's blood." Now he was in Charles, dying from Gorgon's blood, plus a dozen other agonizing curses while he watched the girlfriend stumbled around helplessly. His girlfriend stumbled around helplessly and blind, unbelieving he'd abandoned her. He clutched his sword. His knuckles started to stream. White smoke curled off his forearms. "I won't die like this." Not only because it was painful and insultingly lame, but because Annabeth needed him. Once he was dead, the demons would turn their attention to her. He couldn't leave her alone. The air clustered around him, snickering and hissing. His head will erupt first, the voice speculated. No, the voice answered itself from another direction. He will combust it all at once. They were placing bets on how he would die. What sort of scorch marks he would leave on the ground. "Bob," he croaked, "I need you." A hopeless plea. He could barely hear himself. Why should Bob answer his call twice? He actually knew the truth now. Percy was no friend. He raised his eyes one last time. His surroundings seemed to flicker. The sky boiled and the ground blistered. Percy realized that what he saw of Tatius was only a watered-down version of its true horror, and what his demigod brain could handle, the worst of it was veiled. In the same way the mist veiled monsters from mortal sight. Now as Percy died, he began to see the truth. The air was the breath of the TARDIS. All these monsters were just blood cells circulating through his body. Everything Percy saw was a dream in the mind of the dark god of the pit. This must have been the way Nico had seen the TARDIS, and it almost destroyed his sanity. Nico, one of the many people Percy hadn't treated well enough. He and Annabeth had only made it this far through the TARDIS because Nico the Anglo had behaved like Bob's true friend. To see the whole of the pit of the air, I said suddenly. Get up, Percy Jackson. Isn't death better than enduring this place? I'm sorry, he murmured. He apologizes. Yeah, a shriek with delight. He regrets his failed life, his crimes against the children of the TARDIS. No, Percy said. I'm sorry, Bob. I should have been honest with you. Please forgive me. Protect Annabeth. He didn't expect Bob to hear him, okay? But it felt right to clear his conscience. He couldn't blame anyone else for his troubles. Not the gods, not Bob. He couldn't even blame Cal Pearson. The god he left alone on that island. Maybe he turned bitter and cursed Annabeth and cursed Percy's girlfriend out of despair. Still, Percy should have followed up with Calypso. Made sure the god sprang her from her exile on Ogygia, like they promised. He hadn't even treated her any better than he treated Bob. He hadn't even thought much about her, though her moonlit plant still bloomed in his mum's window box. It took all his remaining effort, but he got to his feet. Steam rose from his whole body. His legs shook, his inside churned like a volcano. At least Percy could go out fighting. He raised it tight, but before he could strike, all the air in front of him exploded into dust. Chapter 32. Percy! Bob seriously knew how to use a broom. He slashed back and forth, destroying the demons one after the other, while small Bob the kitten sat on his shoulders, arching its back and hissing. In a matter of seconds, the RA were gone. Most had been vaporized. The smarter ones had flown off into the darkness, shrieking in terror. Percy wanted to thank the Titan, but his voice couldn't work. His legs buckled, his ears rang to a red glow of pain. He saw Annabeth a few yards away, wandering blindly towards the edge of the cliff. Ah, Percy grunted. Bob followed his gaze. He bounced toward Annabeth and scooped her up. She yelled and kicked, pummeling Bob's scalp, but Bob didn't seem to care. He carried her over to Percy and put her down gently. The Titan touched her forehead. Ow-wee! Annabeth stopped fighting. Her eyes cleared. Where? What? She saw Percy, and a series of explosions flashed across his face, revealing relief, joy, shock, horror. What's wrong with him? She cried. What happened? She crackled his shoulders and well into his scalp. Percy wanted to tell her that he was okay, but of course it wasn't. He couldn't even feel his body anymore. His consciousness was like a small helium balloon loosely tied to the top of his head. It had no weight, no strength. It just kept expanding gently, getting lighter and lighter. He knew that soon it would either burst or the string would break and his life would float away. Annabeth took his face in her hands. She kissed him and tried to wipe the dust and sweat from his eyes. Bob loomed over them, his broom planted like a flag. His face was unreadable, luminously white in the dark. Lot of curses, Bob said. Percy has done bad things to monsters. Can you fix him, Annabeth, like you did with my blindness? Fix Percy? Bob frowned. He picked at the name tag on his uniform like it was a scab. Annabeth tried again. Bob! Lapidus, Bob said, his voice a low rumble. Before Bob, it was Lapidus. The air was absolutely still. Percy felt helpless, barely connected to the world. I like Bob better. Annabeth's voice was surprisingly calm. Which do you like? The Titan regarded her with his pure silver eyes. I do not know anymore. He crouched next to her and studied Percy. Bob's face looked haggard and careworn, as if he suddenly felt the weight of all his centuries. I promised, he murmured. Nico asked me to help. I do not think Lapidus or Bob likes breaking promises. He touched Percy's forehead. Owie, the Titan murmured. Very big owie. Percy sank back into his body. The ringing in his ears faded. His vision cleared. He still felt like it had swallowed a deep fire. His inside bubbled. He could sense that the poison had only been slowed, not removed. But he was alive. He tried to meet Bob's eyes to express his gratitude. His head lolled against his chest. Bob cannot cure this, Bob said. Too much poison. Too much curses piled up. Annabeth hugged Percy's shoulders. He wanted to say, I can feel that now. Ow, too tight. What can we do, Bob? Annabeth asked. Is there water anywhere? Water might heal him. No water, Bob said. The harvest is bad. I noticed, Percy wanted to yell. At least the Titan called himself Bob. Even if he had blamed Percy for taking his berry, maybe he would help Annabeth if Percy didn't make it. No! Annabeth insisted. No, there has to be a way. Something to heal him. Bob placed his hand on Percy's chest. A cold tingle, like eucalyptus oil spray across his sternum. But soon as Bob lifted his hand, the relief stopped. Percy's lungs felt as hot as lava again. Tataris kills demigods, Bob said. It heals monsters, but you do not belong. Tataris would not heal Percy, but hates your kind. I don't care, Beth said. Even here, there has to be some place he will rest. Some kind of cure he can take. Maybe back at the altar of Hermes, or in the distance, a deep voice bellowed. A voice that Percy recognized, unfortunately. I smell him, roared the giant. Oh, beware, son of Poseidon. I come back for you. Pulley boats, Bob said. He hates Poseidon and his children. He's very close now. Annabeth just struggled to get Percy to his feet. He hated making her work so hard, but he felt like a sack of billard balls. Even with Annabeth supporting him, almost all his weight could barely stand. Well, I'm going on, with or without you, she said. Will you help? The kitten spoon Bob meowed and began to purr, rubbing against Bob's chin. Bob looked at Percy, and Percy wished he could read the Titan's expression. Was he angry or just thoughtful? Was he planning of revenge, or is he feeling hurt because Percy had lied about being his friend? There is one place, Bob said last. There is a giant who might know what to do. Annabeth almost dropped Percy. A giant, Bob, giants are bad. One is good, Bob insisted. Trust me. And I will take you on this pulley boats and the others catch up first. Chapter 33. Jason. Jason fell asleep on the job, which was bad, since he was 1,000 feet in the air. He should have known better. It was the morning after they had grounded with Cyril the bandit, and Jason was on duty fighting some wild Venti who were threatening the ship. When he slashed through the last one, he forgot to hold his breath. A stupid mistake. When a wind spirit disintegrates, it creates a vacuum. Unless you're holding your breath, the air gets sucked right out of your lungs. The pressure in your ear drops so fast that you black out. That's what happened to Jason. Even worse, he instantly plunged into a dream in the back of his subconsciousness. He thought, really now? He needed to wake up or he would die. But he was able to hold on to that. to the sword. In the dream, he found himself on the roof of a tall building. The nighttime skyline of Manhattan spread around him. A cold wind whipped through his clothes. A few blocks away. Clouds gathered above a few blocks away. Clouds gathered above the Empire State Building, the entrance to Mount Olympus itself. Lightning flashed. The air was metallic with the smell of oncoming rain. The top of the skyscraper was lit up as usual, but the lights seemed to be malfunctioning. They flickered from purple to orange as if the colours were fighting from dominance. On the roof of Jason's building stood his old comrades from Camp Jupiter, an array of demigods in combat armour. The imperial gold weapons and shields glinted in the dark. He saw Dakota and Nathan, Leala, Marcus, Octavian stood to one side, thin and pale. His eyes red rimmed from sleepless or anger. A string of sacrificial stuffed animals around his waist. His Argus white robe was draped over a purple t-shirt and cargo pants. In the centre of the line stood Raina, her metal dogs, Orm and Argentum at her side. Upon seeing her, Jason felt an incredibly pang of guilt. He let her believe they had a future together. They had never been in love with her, and he hadn't led her on exactly, but he also hadn't shut her down. He disappeared, leaving her to run the camp on her own. Okay, that hadn't exactly been Jason's idea, but still, then he had returned to Camp Jupiter with new girlfriend Piper and a whole bunch of Greek friends in the warship. They fired on the forearm and run away, leaving Raina with a war on her hands. In his dreams, she looked tired. Others might not notice, but he'd worked with her long enough to recognize the weariness in her eyes, the tightness in her shoulders under the straps of her armour. Her dark hair was wet. She'd taken a hasty shower. Okay, that was a nice fun drum beats. Didn't think anybody really wanted to hear that, but I wanted to. So if you didn't like that, just next time warn us about that. From 32 minutes 50 seconds to 33 minutes 50 seconds. Okay, carry on. The Romans stared at the roof access door as if they were waiting for someone. When the door opened, two people emerged. One was a fawn. No, Jason was sat here. He'd learned the difference at camp afterward. And Coach Head was always correcting him if he made that mistake. Roman fawns tended to hang around and begged and sat and eat. Satyrs were more helpful, more engaged with demigods' affairs. Jason didn't think he'd seen this particular satyr before, but he was sure the guy was from the Greek side. No fawn would look so purposeful walking up to an armed group of Romans in the middle of the night. He wore a green nature conservancy t-shirt with pictures of endangered whales and tiger stuff. Nothing covered his shaggy legs and hooves. He had a bushy goatee, curly brown hair tucked into a rasta-style cap, and set off reed. His shirt. He set off reed pipes around his neck. His hands fidgeted with the hem of his shirt, but considering this way he studied from the Romans, noting the positions of the weapons, Jason figured that it had been in combat before. At his side was a red-haired girl Jason recognized from Camp Half-Blood, their oracle, Rachel Elizabeth Dare. She had long frizzy hair, a plain white blouse, and jeans covered with a hand-drawn-in ink designs. She held a blue plastic hairbrush that she tapped nervously against her thigh like a good tall talisman. Jason remembered her at a campfire reciting lines of prophecy that sent Jason, Piper, and Leo on their first quest. Together, she was a regular mortal teenage, not a demigod, but for reasons Jason never understood, the spirit of Delphi had chosen her as its host. The real question: what was she doing with the Romans? He set forward, her eyes fixed on Rena. "You got my message?" Octavian snorted. "That's the only reason you made it here You made it this far alive, Gracious. I hope you can discuss surrender terms." "Octavian," Rena warned. At least search them," Octavian protested. "No need," Rena said, standing Rachel there. "Do you bring weapons?" Rachel shrugged. "I Cronus in the eye with this hairbrush once. Otherwise, no." Rose didn't seem to know what to make of that. Morton didn't sound like he was kidding. Are your friend Rena?" "I thought you were coming alone. This is Grover Underwood," Rachel said. "He's a leader of the council. "What council?" Octavian demanded. "Cloven Elders." Man, Grover's voice was high and reedy, as if he were terrified, but Jason suspected the satyr had more zeal than he let on. "Seriously, don't you Romans have nature and trees and stuff? I've got some news you need to hear. Plus I'm card-carrying protector. I'm here to, protect Rachel." Reva looked like she was trying not to smile, but no weapons. Just the pipes. Grover's expression became wistful. "Percy always says my cover was born to be wild." She'd count as a dangerous weapon, but I don't think it's that bad. Octavian sneered. "Another friend of Percy. Always says my cover. Another friend of Percy Jackson. That's all I need to hear." Rena held up her hand for signs. Her gold and silver dogs sniffed the air, but they remained calm and attentive at her side. "So far, our guest speaks the truth," Rena said. "Be warned, Rachel and Grover. If you start to lie, this conversation will not go well for you. Say what you came to say." From her jeans pockets, Rachel dug out a piece of paper like a napkin, a message from Annabeth. Jason wasn't sure he heard it right. Annabeth was into Taurus. He couldn't send anyone a note on a napkin. "Maybe I've hit the water and died," somebody said. "This real vision, it's some sort of after-death hallucination." But the dream sound seemed very real. He could feel the wind sweeping across the roof. He could smell the storm lightly flickering over the Empire State Building, making the Roman's armor flash. Rena took the note. As she read it, her eyebrows crept higher. Her mouth parted in shock. Finally, she looked up at Rachel. "It's a goat joke, I wish," Rachel said. "They're really into towers." "But how?" "I don't know," Rachel said. "The note appeared in sacrificial fire at a dining pavilion. It has Annabeth's handwriting. She asked for you by name." Octavian stared. "To towers? What do you mean?" Rena handed him the letter. Octavian muttered as he read Rome, Athena, and then Parthenos. He looked around in outrage as he was waiting for someone to contract what he was reading. "A Greek are infamous for their tricks." Rena took back the note. "Why ask this of me?" Rachel smiled. "Because Annabeth is wise. She believes you can do this, Rena. Ramirez Arellano." Jason felt like he'd been slapped. Nobody ever used Rena's full name. She hated telling people what it was. The only time Jason said it aloud, just trying to pronounce it correctly, she gave it him a murderous look. "That was the name of a little girl in San Juan," she told him. "I left it behind when I left Puerto Rico." "Being a scout, how did you You mean your initials are Rara? Rena's hand drifted towards her dagger. "That's not important," the satyr said quickly. "Look, we wouldn't have risks coming here if we didn't trust Annabeth's instincts. The Roman leader returning the most important Greek statue to Camp Half-Blood. She knows this could prevent a war." "This isn't a trick," Rachel added. "We're not lying. Ask your dogs." The metal greyhounds didn't react. Rena stroked afterwards and said thoughtfully, "The Athena Parthenon, so the legend is true." "Rena," Octavian cried, "you can't seriously be considering this. Even the units the statues still exist. You see what they're doing. We're on the verge of attacking them, destroying the stupid Greeks once and for all. And they conduct this stupid errand to divert your attention. They want to send you to your death." The other Romans must be glaring at their visitors. Jason remembered how persuasive Octavian could be, and he was winning the officers to his side. Rachel Dare faced the ogre. "Octavian, son of Apollo, you should take this note more seriously. Even the Romans respected your father's Oracle of Delphi." "Ha," Octavian said. "You're the Oracle of Delphi, right? And I'm the Emperor Nero. At least Nero could play music." Grover muttered. Octavian balled his fists. Suddenly, the wind shifted. It swirled around the Romans with a hissing sound like a nest of snakes. Rachel there glowed in a green aura, as if hit by a soft animal spotlight. When the ring faded and the aura was gone, the snow melted from Octavian's face. The Romans rusted uneasily. "It's your decision," Rachel said, as if nothing has happened. "I have no specific orders, a specific prophecy to offer you, but I can see a glimpse of the future. I can see Athena Parthenos on Half-Blood Hill. I see her bring it here." He pointed at Rena. "Also, Ella has been murmuring lines from your Sibylline books." "What?" Rena interrupted. "The Sibylline books were destroyed centuries ago." "I knew it!" Octavian pounded his fist into the pub. That harpy that they brought back from the quest. "Ella, I knew she was sprouting prophecies. Now I understand. She memorized a copy of the Sibylline books." Rena shook her head in disbelief. "How is that possible?" "We don't know," Rachel admitted, "but yes, that seems to be the case. Ella has a perfect memory. She loves books. Somehow, she read your Roman book of prophecies. Now she's the source for them." "Your friends lied," Octavian said. "They stole us the harpy. They told us the harpy was just muttering gibberish. They stole her." Grover huffed instinctively. "Ella isn't your property. She's a free creature. Besides, she wants to be at Camp Half-Blood. She's dating one of my friends, Tyson." The Cyclops, Sabrina remembered. A hobby dating a Cyclops. That's not relevant, Octavian said. The hobby was a valuable Roman prophecies. If the Greeks won't return her, we should take the oracle hostage. Guards! 2 centurions advanced. Their pillar leveled. Grover brought his pipes to his lips, played a quick jig, and their spears turned into Christmas trees. The guards dropped them in surprise. Enough! Rhiannon shouted. She didn't often raise her voice. When she did, everyone listened. We've strayed from the point, she said. Rachel, there you're telling me that Annabelle is in Tartarus, yet she's found a way to send this message? She wanted me to bring this statue from the ancient lands to your camp. Rachel nodded. Only a Roman can return it and restore peace. And why would the Romans want peace? Anna said, after your ship attacked our city. You know why, Rachel said. To avoid this war, to reconcile the gods. Greek and Roman sides, we have to work together to defeat Gaia. Octavian steps forward to speak, but Rhiannon shot him a withering look. According to Percy Jackson, Rhiannon said, the battle with Gaia will be fought in the ancient lands in Greece. That's where the giants are, Rachel agreed. Whatever magic, whatever ritual the giants are planning to wake the Earth Mother, I sense it will happen in Greece. But, well, our problems aren't limited to an ancient lands. That's why I brought Grover to talk. To you. The Satyrs tugged his goatee. Yes, over the last few months, I've been talking to the Satyrs and nature spirits across the continent. They're all saying the same thing. Gaia is stirring. I mean, she's right on the edge of consciousness. She whispered. She's whispering in the minds of naiads, trying to turn them. She's causing earthquakes, uprooting the dried trees. Last week alone, she appeared in human form in a dozen different places, scaring the horns of some of my friends in Colorado. A giant stone first fist rose out of the mountain and swatted some party ponies like flies. Rhiannon frowned. Party ponies? Long story, Rachel said. The point is, Gaia will rise everywhere. She's already stirring. No place will be safe from the battle, and we know that her first targets are going to be the demigod camps. She wants us destroyed. Speculation, Octavian said. A discussion. The Greeks fear our attack. They're trying to confuse us. It's the Trojan horse all over again. Rhiannon twisted the silver rings she always wore, with the sword and torch symbols of her mother, Bellona. Marcus, she said, bring Sippo from the stables. Rhiannon, no! Octavian protested. She'd face the Greeks. I will do this for Annabeth, for the hope of peace between our camps. But do not think I have forgotten the insults to Camp Jupiter, who shipped fire on our city. You declared war without not us. Now leave. Grover stamped his hoof. Percy would never. Grover, Rachel said. We should go, her tone said, before it's too late. After they had retreated back down the stairs, Octavia wheeled on Rhiannon. Are you mad? I'm your praetor of the Legion, Rhiannon said. I judge this to be in the best interest of Rome. To get yourself killed, to break our oldest laws and travel to the ancient land? How will you find their ship, assuming you survive the journey? Oh, I will find them, Rhiannon said. If they are sailing for Greece, I will find them. If they're sailing for Greece, I know a place in Jason will stop. To face the ghosts in the house of Hades, you'll need an army. There is only one place where you can find that sort of help. In Jason's dream, the building seemed to tilt under his feet. He remembered a conversation he had with Rhiannon years ago and a promise they had made to each other. He knew what she was talking about. This is insanity, Octavian muttered. We're already under attack. We must take this offensive. Those hairy dwarfs had been stealing our supplies, sabotaging our scouting parties. You know the Greeks sent them. Perhaps, Rhiannon said, but you will not launch an attack without my orders. Continue scouting the enemy camp. Secure your positions. Gather all the allies you can, and if you catch those dwarves, you have my blessing to send them back to Tartarus. But do not attack Camp Half-Blood until I return. Octavian narrowed his eyes. While you're gone, the Olga in the senior office, I'll be in charge. I know. Leonard is unhappy about it. But you have my orders. You heard all of them. He scanned the faces of the centurions, daring them to question her. She stormed off, her purple cloak billowing and her dogs at her heels. Once she was gone, Octavian turned to the centurions. Gather all the senior officers. I want a meeting as soon as Rhea has left on her fool's quest. There'll be a few changes on the Legion's plan. One centurion opened his mouth to respond, but for some reason he spoke in Piper's voice. Wake up! Jason's eyes snapped open and he saw the ocean surface hurtling towards him.